is the book that I was reading. This is the book that almost bored me to death. So I have just DNF'd this because it wasn't giving anything. It wasn't serving anything. There's becoming like this staple relationship dynamic in fantasy romance books. There is a lot of similarities between this book and Little Thieves and Serpent and Dove, and you see the trend that I'm going on, and I am just learning to stay away from those trends. I have learned to stay away from those trends. Serpent and Dove I thought was very funny. It was also one of the first kind of books that I read like that, so it didn't like annoy me, right? I still had a lot of patience at that time, but as the new releases keep coming out, it's starting to feel like copycat versions, and this heavy amount of just like angst of will they, won't they, of petty back and forth bickering, of the plot being sidelined for the angst in the romance is going on. I'm losing my patience for it. Just gonna stay away from books that follow that enemies to lovers dragged out angst trope. With that being said though, I'm in a bit of like a reading slump. Like, I need a 5-star read. I've read books that have been 5 stars, but they haven't been in the genre that I want them to. Like, my thrillers have been hitting, my historical fictions have been hitting, but I need a really good romance. I need something dark, maybe like a dark romance, a fantasy romance. I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm in the mood for. Like the last time I read a romance book that I really enjoyed was a Mariana Zapata, and 2 things that I've noticed is, 1, she writes incredibly long slow burn books, which I'm totally here for, and 2, of all the books that I've read by her, the 2 that I love the most are a slow burn single parent romance, and so maybe I'm gonna try that trope in a different author to see if that's my trope or if that's just Mariana Zapata's writing. I also have a couple of like dark fantasy romance books. I have Haunting Adeline, which was purchased for me as a gift. I have Her Soul to Take. I have A King of Battle and Blood. So maybe I'll also check those books out. I'm not sure what I'm looking for. I just know that I want something good. Oddly enough, I read book 1 of Fortuna Sworn. Was that last year or this year? I can't remember because we're at the end of this year. I may have read it last holiday season, and I stopped with the series because I was currently reading at that time 2 or 3 other fantasy romance series that were just, I was eating them up. They were really good. Fortuna Sworn, I think I gave 3 stars. So in retrospect, it wasn't a bad book. It's just by comparison for all the other books I was reading, it wasn't worth the time. But now that I don't have those books, maybe the sequel to Fortuna Sworn is looking a little bit more attractive. I don't know. I'm gonna check back in with you when I can find a book. Hopefully this vlog is a success because I need a win. I'm tired of taking L's. This was an L. I'm tired of taking them. I don't want any more. Okay, I am back. I have some book mail here from Hachette. So I'm gonna open this and see what it is. I'm pretty sure it's an ARC, but I don't know of what. There's 2 ARCs in here. I have 2 copies of Empire of Exiles. 23 years ago, a duke with a grudge, we love people with grudges in books, a duke with a grudge led a ruthless coup against his empire, killing thousands. He failed. The duke was executed, and a terrifyingly powerful sorcerer was imprisoned, and an unwilling princess disappeared. The empire moved on. Okay, like, one of my book kinks is books that have a sorcerer in there. There's just something that I find attractive about a wizard. It does something for me. It works Okay, that's part of the reason why I really loved the Right Year Revelations. Like, what hooked me from the beginning was definitely The Wizard. I've had books where I just know that I would have hated them, books that I know that was not for me, that I somehow ended up enjoying just because it had a sorcerer or a wizard in there. I don't read them enough. I don't ever seek them out, which is odd because it's a trope that I love, but I never seek them out. But I love when I discover them and find them. Now Quill, an apprentice scribe, arrives to the capital city believing he's on a simple errand for another pompous noble, fetch ancient artifacts from the magical imperial archives. But these artifacts are the instruments of revolution and the banners under which the Duke led his coup. And the city has just been shaken by a brutal murder that looks to be caused by a weapon not seen since the dark days of the rebellion. With Quill being the main witness to the murder, and with no one in power believing his story, he must join with a young mage. I also love mages. Hello. He must join with a young mage, a seasoned archivist, and a disillusioned investigator to find out the truth of the attack, and what they uncover will be the key to saving the Empire or destroying it. That's a pretty damn solid synopsis. I don't know if I needed 2 copies of it. I'm definitely going to be gifting one of my friends this book that we can read it as a buddy read, but so far that sounds good. I wonder if these are already out. Like, I feel like I've seen this book already. It says that it's going to be released in November 2022, so this definitely already out. I'm going to be reading this pretty soon because that sounds good. I don't even watch like comic like Marvel DC movies, but Doctor Strange does something to me, and it's not the actor, it's the character, right? Just the whole movement, and like, I don't know, like, I love a wizard. Back to my update of this vlog. So I have started, what is it called? Her Soul to Take. I didn't look at what page I was on before I came to do this update, but I would say I'm about like 35-40% into the book. Is it bad? No. Is it what I wanted? No. It does have a plot. And like, what I find interesting is that we have this main character by the name of Ray. And usually when we like set up on these books, especially something that is similar in like ACOTAR and Fortuna Sworn, there's this sad, grief-stricken girl that has lost a loved one, or her loved one has gone missing and she's on this hunt to go find them and she's gonna save them, or she's protecting them. That's usually what I have seen, and so I never really paid attention to it until I went into this book, and we just have a main character that is just interested in paranormal activity. She has a YouTube channel, and that's just her vibe. That's what she likes to do. That's what she finds entertaining, and I didn't realize how much of like, what a break from the mode that was until I did a comparison, right? You don't know what you're missing until like you discover what you've been missing. So that was pretty interesting. It has a plot. I don't know if the male character in here is doing it for me, because like, he's supposed to be a demon, but it's not given demon. It's given sex demon. That works, but it's not an overall all-encompassing demon. Like, he doesn't seem dangerous. He's definitely not human. He's not depicted as human. He is a supernatural being, but he just doesn't have that like stoic, mysterious vibe to him, and he really comes alive like with his sexual nature, and that comes across the page in a healthy amount of ways. And so I think if you want a book with smut that also has a plot, right, and like characters that are not just two-dimensional, then you would like this book. There's nothing wrong with it. I think I would give it like a solid, maybe if I was to finish it, I would give it like a solid 3 stars. I don't know. Maybe the ending's really good. I've heard book 2 slaps. I'm gonna keep reading it because I'm definitely here for the steamy sex that they're having, but it's not scratching that itch that I had when I went to go start this vlog. So I'm gonna finish the book because I'm not at a point where I want to DNF, but we will be continuing on with another book to see if I can find like, I don't know, I want like a spark or like a fire. Like, I want something like Daughter Smoke and Bone, but like in dark fantasy, or like Guild. I don't know if I'm gonna find that because those books are very rare. Like, I had so much fun reading Guild this same time last year, and I'm having like a book hangover from not experiencing that again. I'm gonna keep trying and I'll come back and update you. I finished Her Soul to Take and I gave it 3 out of 5 stars, and I just on a whim decided to start It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover, which is the sequel to It Ends With Us. Technically, there's a bit of a single parent element to this book. I read It Ends With Us. I loved it. It's one of the only Colleen Hoover books I've given 5 out of 5 stars, and after like reading that one and then reading other books by her, that was just the pinnacle of her writing for me. And I'm not gonna lie, I was a little nervous to read It Starts With Us because I'm still not sure how I felt about sequels to romances, and I didn't trust Colleen Hoover to touch It Ends With Us again because of my lack of enjoyment for the other books that I've read by her. But she still has her magic touch. This book is given. I love Atlas as a character. I think he's very dynamic. He's experienced a lot of things that just brings out the compassion for a reader and empathy for a reader. And I love him and like how centered and stable he can be for Lily. And I like where the book is going. It literally picks up right where we left off at the end of book 1. And there really isn't like new build up to the romance. Like, I feel like book 1 had such a solid foundation for Lily and Atlas to be together. So in this book, Colleen is not really adding on to that tensity or that fire. We're just picking up from where we were. Literally, if this had not been separated into 2 books with 2 different titles, you could have just put it all into one book, which is not a problem for me. I really enjoy it. I was sold on their romance in the first book. I like them as characters. I like their story. There's so much going on in their lives that is just preventing them from really being together. So even like when we have the parts of the book where they're not interacting with each other and they're just trying to deal with the things that are happening around them, I'm still very interested, and it feels like a 5-star read. So I'm very happy, very excited about that. I just need this pace to continue. I'm a little nervous about the 3rd act breakup. I know that it's coming. I'm about halfway through the book right now. I feel it coming, but I don't know how it's gonna go. But right now, this one might be a winner. So I'm in my car about to go to this event. I sit on the board for a nonprofit, and because it's the holiday season, there's so many like fundraising campaigns and things that all nonprofits around the world are doing. I am here to do my job as a board member and to support the organization. I'm gonna go in, and then honestly, like, I might even just knock out the remaining part of this book tonight because I have a pretty light day tomorrow, and I'm excited to see what the book is. This was a cash grab, okay? This was an extended epilogue. It added really nothing to the first book. It just gave us like extra time with Atlas and Lily. It was a dip into the bag. And it was for me. I gave it 5 stars. I appreciate her for not trying to alter the story, not trying to make it better. Like, we literally just jumped in exactly where we were, and we got a couple hundred more pages with Atlas and Lily, with the magic that just carried over for the first book. If you are a fan of the first book, I think that you might really enjoy this if you understand that component. I would not really call it a sequel, right? Because like, these books could literally be bound together and it would be a Mariana Zapata. It truly would. Yeah, this was a hit. I'm calling this one a win. So we've now finished It Starts With Us and Her Soul to Take. So 2 books down. The other 2 books that I mentioned possibly reading in the beginning of this vlog was A King of Battle and Blood and Hunting Adeline. I have to drive to a meeting today, and it's gonna be like an hour without traffic, and living in the Seattle metropolitan area, that's laughable to think you're not gonna get traffic. So I'm heading into the belly of the beast in terms of traffic today, and so I imagine that I'm gonna be driving for about an hour and a half, maybe even an hour and 45 minutes to the city that I need to make it to, and then by the time I'll be heading back home, it'll be like right before the lunch hour, but I anticipate that I'm still gonna hit traffic again. So I need to pick an audiobook that I can listen to on this drive. Either like I'll be able to read the whole book of this one, or like a good chunk of Hunting Adeline. So I'll check in with you guys when I pick a book. On my way back from my appointment, I had to pass IKEA, and I've never been in there before, but I've really wanted to get the IKEA bookcases for a while now. So I went to check them out. I was incredibly overwhelmed in IKEA. Like, I got lost. I feel like it's set up like a maze to confuse people. And like at one point I was trying to get out of the store for the longest time and I could not find the exit, and so I just started cutting through showrooms and like back alley like aisles and things like that, because I was like, I gotta get the fuck out of here, this feels like a lot. But I did grab them, so I'm very excited about that. On my way to my appointment, I ended up starting Hunting Adeline. I don't want to speak about things before they're finished, but it might be a masterpiece, I fear. We might have a hit on our hands. I am getting literally everything that I missed from the main male character in Her Soul to Take. This character is a little bit more for what I was looking for. So yeah, I'm excited to drive back to my neck of the woods, and finish listening to this book. The IKEA boxes are here. I think these are the bigger ones, and then in another part of my house I have the smaller ones. Ignore my daughter's sock, but I feel like this is going to take me a while to put together just because I've had a long week and I have no... Okay, so I finally got them all together. These for some reason were so much easier to put together than the ones that I got from Target. I don't know exactly what it is because it's essentially the same process, but this just felt much more simple and efficient. And I think one of the biggest changes is that for the IKEA bookshelves I had a power drill, and I don't think that I used the power drill when I put these together a while ago, so that might have been the difference. But right now the height difference is like significant. Like you can see here where like I lined the top part of my shelf with books just because I needed more room than I had, and already these are much sturdier, taller, and longer in width. Like this space here is actually longer of a shelf than these. I don't have anything in mind for like how I want to design the layout when I start moving the shelves. I also messed up this one here, but I had already hammered the back by the time I realized, so like we're sticking with it, we're going with it, and I'll probably just get some white stickers like what you get inside the Target bookcases to cover that up. I don't think it'll be very noticeable when I cover it, so yeah, I'm not undoing the case. Next time I just gotta be much more careful. I never thought that a stalker romance would be something that I was interested in at all. I mean, I watched You. I think that Joe is interesting. I get a little laugh out of him, but I thought that that was a bit of a one-off. But this is sick. This is twisted, okay? This is maniacal. But I'm loving it. There is some messed up things happening in this book, but I'm enjoying it. It's a fun time. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is one of those books where I probably wouldn't talk about it with my family. I wouldn't bring it up with my everyday friends. I don't want to say that this is like a shame-based kink, but I am shocking myself here with enjoying this. It's a surprise to me, and I want to internalize that and just understand what that means at some point in the future. But for right now, I'm just gonna keep having a good time with this. We have Adeline, and she is our female interest, and she recently moved into this house that was given to her by her grandmother after her grandmother passed, and her mom is like convinced that this house is haunted because her grandmother has passed away in this house, her great grandmother was murdered in this house, there's been some like mysterious fires that have happened in this house, and Adeline has come across some letters that was written by her Gigi, and her Gigi had a stalker that her grandmother was just like oddly attracted to, and Adeline is kind of convinced that this stalker had something to do with her great grandmother's murder. But the letters make it seem like, I don't want to say that her great grandmother was in love with this stalker figure, but she definitely had a carnal sensation towards him, and it was starting to consume her. That's more of a side plot that's happening in the story, but I'm really enjoying. And I like the shadow in this story. Like, he's a terrible person, but for arguably good reasons. He does terrible things, and I don't want to say that he has a good heart, because that wouldn't be true, but you know, he could be seen as heroic, or he could be seen as death on legs. He is sick, but I'm gonna stick beside him. We definitely have a cat and mouse situation going on between Adeline and her stalker, and it's progressing at what I think is a realistic pace. It's a thick book, so it's not being moved along very quickly, but I'm okay with that because I like the cat and mouse dynamic, and I feel like it works being drawn out just a bit, because would it really be cat and mouse? Would it give Tom and Jerry without it having some type of like extended dialogue? I don't think so. Now we're in phase 2 of the process, because I have taken the shelves that used to be here, the Target shelves, and slid them this way. And then I put the IKEA shelves in the place of the Target shelves. And so now what is left is some reorganization and moving the books literally over here so that I can get rid of these shelves. I'm going to watch The Handmaid's Tale because that is my current personality and obsession, and this will wait for another day. Have finished Haunting Adeline. I have not decided what I want to rate the book. I'm somewhere between a 4 and a 5 stars. Probably gonna rate it personally a 4.5 stars. It was a dark romance. It was darker than I have ever read before. It was definitely my first foray into a dark romance. Check the trigger warnings if you want to read it or check it out yourself, but something about Adeline and like this vigilante stalker was just working for me. Our main character, Z, just balances between like good and evil and just dark and darker in a way that just worked for me, and I'm very much looking forward to reading the sequel, which is Hunting Adeline. The author really balanced a plot with the romance with steam, and I was just interested from page to literal page. I've heard that book 2 is much darker and like much more stomach turning, so I feel a little prepared for that. So far I'm gonna call this vlog a win because I found a book that satiated this hunger for a read that I had, and also I got my bookcases up, which I'm very excited about. I love them so far. I'll do a pan for you guys at the end of the video, but yeah, thanks for hanging out with me, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.